Good afternoon, everyone. So today, we will be presenting to you our group's paper entitled Social Capital and Resilience, the Case of Fair Trade Farmers. Before I formally move to the next slide, let me introduce our team. My name is Rhoey Dakis, and my co-authors are Dr. Cindy Soliman, Dr. Easter Belandres, and Dr. Rain Bautista. So this is the flow of our presentation. We'll start with a brief overview of fair trade, followed by our theoretical framework and methodology. Next is the results, and the last part is the conclusion and the recommendation. Fair trade's primary goal is to set fair prices for products, alleviate poverty, and assist producers marginalized by the traditional economic model. FT provides a reasonable return to work, continuity of income, and decent working conditions to disadvantaged producers, mainly in the Southern Hemisphere. Due to ethical consumerism, the United Kingdom, US, and EU see an increase in FT sales. Since its inception, the fair trade movement has grown from a small niche market in the EU to mainstream status in the US, EU, and the UK. It started small shops and ultimately found its way to the shelves of some of the world's largest retailers, including Costco, Kroger, Whole Foods, Waitrose, and Tesco, to name a few. Considering the fast growth of FT certified products, it is critical to analyze FT's impact on these farmers and their families to determine the effectiveness of FT certification as an economic tool aimed at improving the population's quality of life, since FT certification has the potential to increase farmer well-being not only through its economic standards, but also through its social standards. Resilience is one of today's business trends that is characterized by the capacity of a system to absorb and cope with issues. Moreover, resilience is defined as the capacity of all individuals throughout generations to preserve and develop their livelihood, prospects, and well being despite natural disasters and economic, social, and political disruptions. The resilience of natural and human systems is rapidly emerging as a critical quality for addressing the problems of a society. Farmers' pandemic resilience is aided by the possession of liquid assets that can be quickly sold in the case of drought, as well as access to capital. Rural communities' resilience and agriculture are becoming increasingly important. Since coconut is a Filipino heritage crop that plays an important role in the Philippine economy, notably in the agricultural sector, it occupies around 27% of the country's arable land. Furthermore, it dominates the Philippine agricultural landscape and accounts for about 25% of its exports. The Philippines ranks first in agricultural land planted to coconut and second in production volume in the world. Yet, despite these impressive numbers, the sector remains challenging. Despite the increasing demand for healthy coconut products, the average coconut farmer in the Philippines lives below the poverty line. So let me pass the floor to Doc Rain, since he'll be the one to present the framework and methodology.
Thank you very much, Rhoey. To continue on, our paper will utilize the theory social capital, and this has been widely used in the study of relationship-related phenomena in both policy and academic research. The theory features a condition to achieving participatory democracy, such as relations of trust, reciprocity, cooperation, networks, bonding, norms, voluntary associations, and civicness that are inclusive in civil society. And simply put, when we talk about social capital, it means that there are formal and informal group members who share the same values. And this allows a specific group to cooperate among the members. The dimensions that we're going to look at in our study are as follows. The first dimension is what we call groups and networks. An important concept of social capital is how shared goals are attained through groups and networks that enable people access to resources and collaboration. Informal exchanges are also provided in this dimension. These types of networks also help the utilization of available resources by collective efforts within communities at cooperation, coordination, and mutual assistance. Informal networks are formed by an assortment of environmental factors such as market affinity and friendship. On the other hand, when we talk about trust and solidarity, this is a dimension that measures the degree to which people feel assured and confident that the people they interact with are able to assist them or do no harm to them. To understand the intricacies of human relationships, one must sufficiently define the meaning of trust in a specific context. Trust can be a choice, while sometimes it considers a necessary dependency based on conventional contacts or accustomed networks. The third dimension is what we call collective action and cooperation. This dimension of social capital is complementary to the prior dimension. The difference of this dimension is that it probes deeper on the synergy between people and their community regarding joint projects or crisis problem response. Furthermore, it weighs the effects of participation in an unorthodox way. Interviews with former leaders in the cooperatives and a focus group discussion among farmers were conducted to understand this particular dimension of social capital. The other one is what we call information and communication. Improvements in communication access are increasingly acknowledged as a central mechanism for assisting less privileged communities. The improvements would also strengthen their voice in matters that affect their welfare. This dimension intends to investigate the methods by which households transfer information with each other regarding issues about the whole community, market conditions, and public services, as well as magnitude of their communication infrastructure access. And then we also have social cohesion and inclusion. This dimension focuses specifically on the persistence of social bonds and their dual potential for inclusion and ostracization. It can be exhibited through community events or through activities that increase unity, strengthen social cohesion, improve communication, trains transition services, promote philanthropic and altruistic behavior, and grow a sense of shared awareness. Finally, the dimension on empowerment and political action delve into the perceived satisfaction, personal capability, and capacity of network and group members to influence both local events and considerable political outcomes. This dimension transpires in a small neighborhood association or at broader local, regional, or national levels. Each of the levels is individually important and should be exclusively considered. In addition, because of the level's explicit characteristics, their effects on each other should also be considered. Finally, empowerment and political dimension also consider social splits that can be related to gender, ethnicity, religionism, and religion, among other factors. As shown in the screen, this is the framework that we use in our study. The independent variables that we are looking at are groups and networks, trust and solidarity, collective action, information and communication, social cohesion and inclusion, empowerment and political action. And our dependent variable is resilience. We are looking at the perspectives of fair trade farmers in this particular study. As regards the methodology, we use a qualitative approach to analyze the framework as presented, the different social capital variables in the previous slides, and then we did a series of focus group discussions among fair trade coconut farmers based in Quezon Province. We have a total of 14 respondents for this particular study, and a brief description of their age ranges from 30 to 60 years old. And most of the respondents have around 9 years of fair trade farming experience. The results of the study will be discussed further by Dr. Easter Belandres.
This study, the researchers have conducted 7 problems for this study, and we have identified that the 6 dimensions identified in the framework have positively influenced the farmer resilience. During the FGD, the participants expressed that shared goals of the coconut farmers of the Samahang Organic and Fair Trade Coconut Farmers, the SOFO-COFA, inspires them to thrive, especially during this pandemic. They have narrated that before the formation of the fair trade, the relationship among the cocoa farmers are not that healthy, and they need to solve their own problems during the challenging times. But by the help of the fair trade cooperatives, they become more resilient. For the second dimension, trust and solidarity, the researchers also identified during the FGD that these trust and solidarity positively influence cocoa farmers in a way that their level of resilience was elevated as they have established a better relationship among themselves. They trusted their co-members by solving shared problems. In the third dimension, the collective action, like working as a team to maintain their fair trade certification, as they say, settle immediate collective issues. Example, they become resilient, positively influence the cocoa farmers. Okay? For the fourth dimension, it is also identified that the information and communication positively influence farmer resilience. Example, that the SOFA-COFA modes of communication during this pandemic is via text, blast, or face-to-face communication, which improve their friendly relationship among members. For the fifth dimension, the social cohesion and inclusion positively influence farmer resilience. Example, they receive cash assistance during this pandemic in case of accidents also and during emergency cases. Or if someone seeks help, the members are very much willing to help, especially the suppliers or sub-suppliers. Members also are equally accepted regardless of the sizes of their farmlands. Okay. The seventh dimension is empowerment and political action. It also serves a positive influence for the farmers' resilience. In terms of politics, they have freedom of choice and they respect each other's political views. For the trade membership and resilience, fair trade membership, it also positively moderates the relationship among social capital dimensions and resilience. Example, during the FGD, the SOFA-COFA members, they have conducting feeding programs, they are offering scholarships, they're giving school supplies, and they are also giving emergency cash assistance during emergency, like Damayan, Calamity Fund, tree planting, Christmas package, and during COVID-19 pandemic, the members have also received organic incentives, fair trade funds, and relief goods during lockdown. The conclusion and the recommendation of the study will be discussed by Dr. Soliman.
All right, the results and findings conclude that for groups and networks, there is an improved relationship among coconut farmers. For trust and solidarity, the fair trade farmers were able to establish friendship among themselves and develop trust towards one another. For collective action, the organization worked as a team to achieve one common goal. For the information and communication, the SOFA-COFA had organized and systematic method of communication. For social cohesion and inclusion, the SOFA-COFA is a peaceful organization in a safe community. For empowerment and political action, the SOFA-COFA members are empowered with their consensus as a requirement for approval of projects with freedom to voice out their ideas. While resilience ultimately depends on the farmer's character and orientation, the literature suggests that social capital variables could positively influence the farmer's resilience. FT membership could positively moderate the relationship among social capital dimensions and the farmer's ability to preserve and develop their livelihood prospects and well-being. It is also suggested that the presented propositions be tested in future research. By utilizing this framework, Filipino farmers' resilience would improve by eliciting the necessary social capital variables, employing the right combination of variables. This will aid the farmers in deciding whether to partner with FT certifying bodies or not. Thank you very much, Rhoey.
So that concludes our presentation. Our open for questions from the audience.